What's up, Gisters? Welcome to The Gist of It, the podcast where two gals and two pals give you the gist of what's going on in the sports world. I'm Ellen Hislop.
And I'm Steph Rotz.
Thanks for tuning in. Steph, I am so jazzed and so amped for this week. There is just so much good news going around. Good vibes everywhere.
I'm feeling good, Ellen. Are you feeling good? Like to your bones good?
To my bones good. I like that question. That's when you know if you ask someone and they're like, how are you? And you're like, oh, I'm good. And you're like, to your bones good? That's when you know people are actually doing well.
Like truly, I feel electric right now. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like we're having a moment in women's sports. And I'm starting to really believe that in my lifetime, we might see like a reckoning in women's sports where we have more coverage, more content, more athletes to watch, more leagues. I'm just feeling really optimistic right now.
Yes, it's a great time. It's a great week. And, I also need to take the time to do a little bit of a shameless plug because with sports coming back, as you know, Steph, we have a free twice weekly newsletter that gives the gist of everything that's going on in sports in less than 5 minutes. But without sports during the pandemic, we've been sending out one North American wide newsletter. But now, because sports are coming back over the next couple of weeks, we're finally relaunching in some cities as well as expanding to some cities starting tomorrow, Thursday, July 23rd.
My inbox is primed. It's ready. What I'm like you, I can always trust on the gist to give me what's going on in women's sports as well as men's sports. So I'm really excited about that. And what does this like regional content stuff mean?
Yeah, so basically starting on Thursday, you'll receive a Gist newsletter catered to your location from both a national, so US or Canada, or local, a city-specific level. So all newsletters will have national content, but city-specific newsletters will also have an extra section specifically dedicated to their city too. So you won't miss out on any big news, but you'll also get that more special local news as well. And so we're coming back to Philly, Boston, and Toronto. That one's for you, Steph.
Big.
And then we're also expanding to some major markets, which we're totally stoked about. So we're expanding to LA, New York City, and Washington, D.C.
LA. I'm excited to talk a little bit more about LA this episode, Ellen.
Yeah, baby. It'll be a lot of fun. And, we've hired a lot of kick-ass regional writers, a regional editing team, a new U.S. content contributor. So I'm really excited for them to all get started actually writing the newsletter. It's going to be great to have some new women power on our team.
Thinking of staying informed with what's going on in women's sports and sports in general, in the newsletters, can we expect how to watch the games? I'm always scrambling, trying to figure out where the frick to tune in.
Yes, women's sports seems to be all over the place. Everyone has different rights. I would say just off the top in general, CBS Sports for NWSL, Twitch for NWSL, WNBA, you're generally looking at ESPN2. And sometimes, depending if Canada's feeling it or not, you can catch the WNBA on TSN as well as Sportsnet.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to write that down after this. Thanks, Ellen. And speaking of LA, we teased that out a little bit earlier. Huge news dropped on Tuesday, which if you're listening to this as this podcast comes out, which was yesterday, about the NWSL, so the National Women's Soccer League, adding a franchise to the city. This is such a big deal for the NWSL, but also just for women's sports in general. Today, we're going to get into it, what this means, and also talk about why investing in women's sports matters so much. One of my favorite topics.
All right, Steph. So let's get to this big news, huge news, and set the stage for what we're going to be chatting about today. So as you mentioned, yesterday, Tuesday, it was announced that the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, the pro league in the US, will be expanding to an 11th team in 2022. So right now there are 9 teams that are currently playing. There's going to be another expansion team starting in 2021, and they're going to be out of Louisville, Kentucky. And then this new LA team is going to expand in 2022, and their name is going to be Angel City, which I kind of love.
Such a fitting name. They've already put out such a cinematic video advertising the launch of this team. And so I'm already like so excited to see what kind of content we can expect from this team, what the logo might look like. There's a lot of star energy, obviously, with it being in Los Angeles, but also it's just so great to see how much this league is expanding because, soccer is a global sport. It's going to thrive. I'm so excited.
Totally. And it's going to thrive in such a global city like LA, and a city that already has a team like LAFC from the MLS that has done so well. And actually, speaking about that promo video that you were talking about, let's link it into the show notes because it's just one of those videos that just, I don't know, it makes you love sports. It makes you love soccer. It gives you the shivers.
It has the same effect as your afternoon coffee. Watch it and you're gonna feel like you can conquer so much more than before watching it. Trust me.
Who needs caffeine? Just watch sports montages. That's all you need.
It works for me, honestly. I'm not even kidding.
I love that. And so, we're talking about this expansion today because always when we see women's sports expanding, it's amazing. When we see girls' youth sports expanding, it's amazing. And we love to see it. But this expansion is something phenomenal because the ownership group and who got this started is just absolutely jaw-droppingly stacked. And so the person who's leading this ownership group is actor Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman is running this, which is unreal. She's brought on other actors like Uzo Aduba, America Ferrera, Jennifer Garner, Eva Longoria, and more. Serena Williams is also in this mix, along with her husband, who's a tech entrepreneur and the co-founder of Reddit, which is kind of cool. They've both invested, and Alexis is one of the leading owners of the team. And what I love is that they actually brought on their daughter, Olympia, to be a part of the ownership group. And Olympia is only 2 years old. So now she is the youngest owner in pro sports.
This is such a wholesome story. One of my faves, Jana Hefford, who we actually interviewed on the pod, she tweeted, "Pretty cool to see Serena Williams and Alexis investing in their young daughter in mind. Kudos to all those who are investing in the future of young girls," which I think is such a fun way to phrase it when we think about Olympia being one of the youngest or the youngest team owners, and just thinking about that energy that they're bringing into the world, which we so desperately need right now. I'm here for it.
So neat. And I think to her point as well, Alexis actually replied to Usain Bolt when he had his baby, and he was like, "See you in the 2048 Olympics," like saying that both of their daughters are going to be in the Olympics in 2048. And it's just like manifesting those sorts of things and saying those sorts of things out loud is like, hell yeah, our daughters are going to be athletes and we're going to support them.
I am here for this couple. I'm so new to learning about them as a union because to me, Serena Williams is the main character all the time. So I totally was not even paying attention to who her partner was. And he seems like a pretty cool dude.
He is a cool dude. And let's not get it twisted. Like, she is the main character.
Oh, she's the main character.
She will always be our main character. She is the greatest athlete ever, I think, living right now. She's the greatest athlete. But Alexis is a really great partner. He's so supportive of women's sports. He is a mega fan of the U.S. women's national team. When they won the World Cup last year, I don't know if there was anyone more fired up outside of maybe the players' parents, probably than it was Alexis. He was just so excited about it. And he just seems to be doing the right thing. He recently left the board of Reddit so that his seat could be filled by a Black person to ensure diversity on their board during the Black Lives Matter movement. So he's thinking. He's not just, Moneybags McGee out there.
Yeah, it was really good to see some concrete action from him when we're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and using your power. That was such a great example. And Reddit has since filled that position with the first Black board member being Michael Siebel.
Great. You love to see it. It's awesome to see those sorts of things. And hopefully he encourages a lot of other action. So outside of all of the actors and actresses and the tech entrepreneurs and Serena Williams and just the Williams family altogether, 14 former U.S. women's national team players are also investing in the team, including Mia Hamm, absolutely obsessed. I wear her number, as well as Abby Wambach, who both of them were actually previously to Canadian Christine Sinclair, the holders of the international goals record. So it's Christine, then Abby, then Mia Hamm. So that's pretty cool. And then some of the other women who are leading the ownership group include Kara Nortman, who's a partner at Upfront Ventures, and media and gaming entrepreneur Julie Ehrman.
What I find so cool about all of this, apart from everything else that I've obviously found so cool, is that there are so many influencers and influential people from so many different industries, so many different walks of life that are getting in on this and being investors and seeing the future of women's sports right here and now. Like, this is a huge business decision.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of these people are betting on women's sports to do well, and obviously are betting that they're going to make money. Anything that I've learned about rich, powerful folk is that they don't just throw their money away. Like,
No.
you don't need to be many to learn this fact. And they're not going to just, be tossed in and around willy-nilly. So I love to see that they are investing in the future. And we've talked on the podcast before about the importance of seeing this and framing this really truly as what it is, which is an investment in women's sports, and the importance of trying to close that pay gap in women's sports. And I need to toss in the reminder here that the highest paid NBA player makes 186 times the highest paid WNBA player. So when we're thinking about investing in women's sports with these huge names on the ballot here, it's not only about the corporate sponsors, it's not only about, getting paid through those avenues, but it's also about the investment at the team level, that like family level, there for you every second of the way type of investment that we're seeing with this, creation of this team.
Right.
And these types of business people and actors and influencers investing in women's sports also kind of should get the ball rolling for other folks and powerful people to take some action, get involved, whether that's women's soccer or another women's sport. There's money here. Like, take a look at what's happening right now and let's encourage a little bit more action from other people. Am I right?
For sure. And I think, I'd like to think that other investors and corporate sponsors will have it in their mind that if Upstart Ventures, if Alexis and Serena, if these actors and actresses are betting on women's soccer, we should too. And we know that in the past, a bunch of celebs have invested in men's sports, and they continue to invest in men's sports right now. And those teams really, really benefit from the celebrity endorsement of their team. You see them courtside. You see them making connections. You see them, giving clout to the team. And women's sports deserve that. And they're going to gain a lot from having owners like this ownership group. And, so hopefully we see something similar with Angel City in the same way that we see, Jada and Will are the 76ers partial owners, and you see them at games and you see the benefits that the 76ers reap from that. So I'm really hoping to see that same sort of positive benefit with Angel City as well. And, on top of this, there's just so much room for growth, and there's so much white space in the women's sports market. So from a corporate perspective and from a sponsorship perspective, because it's not cluttered, you can really make a mark by supporting women's sports. You're not going to get confused with a bunch of other brands.
Oh my gosh, this is so cut and dry to me. I literally always remember the brands that support women's sports. Like when we're talking about the NWSL, we have Nike, Secret, Budweiser. They're in my brain forever. And one that CCM in women's hockey is always someone I'm going to be supporting. When I had to go buy a hockey bag 2 years ago, you bet I was buying CCM. Like when they stepped in and paid Brianna Decker when she technically won an all-star competition in the NHL and didn't get the monetary benefit of it, I will remember that. And they are now backing Akeem Aliu in the Hockey to Diversity Alliance. So these people, these brands, like give me positive associations. Natasha Cloud with Converse, like all of these companies are in my memory. I am a marketer's dream, of course, but
you are a literal marketer's dream. Like you say something 3 times to you, you're like, I must get this.
I must get this.
Totally.
My next sneakers will be Converse. I guarantee it. But like, it's true. We have financial power. Women care. We have money. We're going to spend it with people that have positive associations with women's sports. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, from a corporate perspective, from an investment perspective, there are a shit ton of young girls playing sports right now. more than ever. There's so many playing soccer, hockey, volleyball, gymnastics, basketball, you name it. And there's only an upward trajectory from here. Like there's only 11 teams, in the NWSL by 2022. There's 32 plus teams in the majority of other leagues. We have so much room to grow. And so that's what also makes me excited for what's happening right now, is that it's just like propelling this growth for the future.
And outside of soccer too, you're more of a soccer gal. I'm more of a hockey gal. And hockey could use some serious help. It really makes me wonder what could happen there too, and the potential that we have in other sports outside of soccer. Right now, there's the National Women's Hockey League, the NWHL, and the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, the PWHPA. The PWHPA players represent the best 200 plus athletes in the world, easy, but they will not play in the NWHL because they don't fund it and see it as a sustainable long-term cross-border league. Really, they're looking for the NHL to intervene to have a similar setup with the WNBA and the NBA, and that a WNHL could be a sister league to the NHL. But the NHL says that they won't do it as long as the NWHL is still around.
There are so many acronyms in that, but you did a great job in covering all of that. I'm so with you.
Keep following me.
Yeah.
There's this really, really makes me wonder, like, would the NHL be less nervous to intervene, even with the NWHL operating, if they knew that they could bring in team owners like the LA Angel City has, or if they knew that they could bring on massive corporate sponsors similar to the NWSL? Thinking here, just like a Toronto example too, right? Like, think of the amount of power and clout that Drake behind the Toronto Raptors has brought.
Yes.
Like, let's think about these models in women's sports. And more generally, how will this move up and impact the greater ecosystem of women's sports? I love to think big picture, Ellen. So we're talking about these teams, and my mind immediately goes to, okay, what does this mean for women's sports long term? And not just for the LA team and the LA City, the NWSL and women's soccer in the US, but what does this mean for all of women's sports? Like, will it positively impact everywhere in North America? Could we potentially see a team up here in Canada for soccer? Will it impact hockey? How will this impact the WNBA? Like, I think there's a lot to dig at here with these types of big names entering the NWSL. And what I also want to probe out there is, will it encourage rights holders like ESPN, NBC, CBS to cover more women's sports during primetime cable? A lot of questions top of mind.
A lot of questions, but how fun is it to actually be able to ask those questions and not say no right away?
Right?
I feel like we've never actually been at that place before.
These are huge names backing a team, and it's nothing but exciting to me right now.
Totally. It's going to be so fun to watch and to see what happens. And it's going to be really interesting. And we know that the change for the women's sports ecosystem is not going to happen overnight. It's just not. We've seen very, slow, gradual change since Title X came in the 1970s, I think that was. Sorry, Title IX. I'm like thinking of the Roman numerals in my head. It's like that like 1X. Anyway, but it does feel kind of like a magic moment right now, doesn't it? Like there's a lot of momentum that women's sports has been carrying for about 2 years or so. And it's a momentum that I've never experienced in my life before. And I preface this because I've been a sports fan since like I could understand sports, like probably since I was 3 or 4 years old. Sports Center is what I watch every single morning and every single night. And so the fact that I'm now 27 and this is the first time that we are actually seeing this momentum and that there could be positive change, and that by the time we're in our 40s, maybe the NWSL is even better than the MLS, like that could legit happen.
Ellen, I'm so happy to hear you say that, because you have been a way more long-term avid sports fan than me, and I'm feeling this. So to hear you say that you're feeling this has me so excited. And I'm so excited to see what these networks do to amp up women's sports too, when we're thinking about, how we could look in the future.
Mm-hmm. And it's really excellent timing too, because the semifinals of the NWSL's Challenge Cup are today, Wednesday, at 12:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern. Kind of late for us, but 10 p.m. Eastern too. We'll cover that in the newsletter tomorrow if you don't want to stay up to watch that. The finals are on Sunday, which is going to be so much fun. And then the WNBA season is finally starting on Saturday. So just like, what a time to celebrate women's sports.
What a time to be alive.
Okay, so talking about the NWSL in Angel City was already a lot of fun. And instead of going back to our WTF moment of the week, I just feel like because it's one of those amazing weeks, like let's just keep on talking about the fun and have our wow, that was fun segment.
Let's keep riding that wave. This week I am so excited also because, wow, that was fun. It's fun that COVID-19 testing results have come out for the majors and the quarantine/bubbling seems to be working. So that's very fun news. With the NBA, 0 of the 346 players tested on the NBA campus since July 13th returned positive test results.
Amazing.
Celebrate. MLB, 6 of the 10,548 tests administered through July 16th came back positive. So that's 0.05%. Wow. I'm shocked, truly. MLS, 0 of the 1,106 individuals tested on the MLS campus from July 18th to 19th were newly confirmed positive. Again, floored. NHL, 2 of the 2,618 tests administered between July 13th and July 17th came back positive. So that's a percentage of 0.08%. Oh, wow. Okay, that was fun. When it comes to women's leagues, there's a lot less information available online. We haven't been able to get any firm numbers with the WNBA. So if you're listening and you have those numbers, we welcome some information. And for the NWSL, reported 2 days ago, there were more than 2,000 tests administered with 0 positive results. So it's also looking really great for the NWSL.
This is all great news. And to be honest, I'm like quite surprised with the MLB. I'm a little bit nervous about the MLB because instead of them having hub cities or bubbles like the rest of the leagues, they're doing travel for a 60-game season, and they're doing regional travel. So they'll be playing within their divisions for 40 of those games. But that worries me. But 6 right now is amazing. I'm really interested to see how that changes. But I don't want to take away. I still want to say that it's fun. But I just like, the MLB makes me nervous.
Oh, I'm holding my breath. Like, this is great news, but I'm floored.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the most fun thing is that sports are finally coming back within the week and next week too. And I mean, okay, there's been soccer for a long time. Big soccer fan. I'll watch soccer, but we need the sports ecosystem just back and all together. So MLB is starting Thursday, aka tomorrow. Amazing news came out of the MLB earlier this week. San Francisco Giants coach Alyssa Nakken became the first woman as an on-field coach, so actually on the diamond, coaching in Monday's game. So it was a preseason game, but how cool is that she's the first coach on field for spring training game?
Momentum. We've got momentum.
Momentum, baby. It's happening. NWA, as we said, starts on Saturday. We've actually written a guide to the WNBA 2020 season, which we will also link to the show notes. Talks about everything with COVID, players to watch, players dropping out, key matchups, rookies, yada, yada, yada. Challenge Cup, as we mentioned, finals are on Sunday. And then the week after, the NBA starts on the 30th and the NHL on August 1st. I'm friggin' happy.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right, that's the gist of it from Ellen and I. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, tell all your friends and subscribe to the gist of it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or Stitcher. And while you're there, please rate us 5 stars and leave a review.
And in case you missed it, to just create sports content, experiences, and community that's by women and for all sports fans. If you like what you heard today, you have to check out our free twice-weekly newsletter where every Monday and Thursday morning, we give you the gist of what's going on in the sports world. If you haven't yet, subscribe at thegistsports.com. If you have a question, any comments, just want to get in touch with Stephanie and I, email us at pod@thegistsports.com or DM us on Instagram at thegistnews.ca or at thegistusa. I'm Ellen Hislop.
And I'm Stephanie Rotz.
And this has been The Gist of It. See you next Wednesday.